An agricultural giant that built its reputation on tractors, harvesters, and farming equipment suddenly steps into one of the most competitive and cutthroat arenas in America, the pickup truck market. That's exactly what John Deere just did, and the entire auto industry is absolutely stunned. For decades, Ford, GM, Toyota, and RAM have fought tooth and nail to dominate truck sales, but out of nowhere, John Deere just flipped the script by revealing the cheapest pickup truck ever built for the U.S. market. And this isn't some concept tucked away in a press release. It's a real vehicle that's already making waves, sending shockwaves from dealerships all the way to Wall Street. The big question is, has John Deere just triggered the most dangerous price war the truck industry has ever seen? First, let's talk about what John Deere actually just pulled off. According to insider leaks and early reports, John Deere has engineered a truck that strips away unnecessary luxury fluff and focuses on what truck buyers in rural America truly want: utility, durability, and affordability. Unlike the $60,000 plus pickups flooding the market today, John Deere's truck is aimed at working-class buyers, small business owners, and farmers who need reliability, not a leather-trimmed luxury lounge. And here's where it gets shocking. The rumored price bracket is starting under $25,000. That number alone is enough to send panic through Detroit, because no major automaker currently offers a brand new full-size pickup anywhere near that price. This isn't just aggressive pricing, it's an outright market disruption. But when will this bombshell officially hit the market? Reports suggest John Deere is preparing a 2026 model year launch, with the official announcement expected as early as the next Farm Machinery Expo, which John Deere traditionally uses to showcase its latest innovations. If true, it means we're just months away from one of the most unexpected automotive unveilings of the decade. Farmers who already trust John Deere for their equipment could suddenly be buying their trucks from the same brand, creating a loyalty loop that traditional automakers never saw coming. So, how are the other automakers reacting to this move? Internally, sources claim Ford and GM executives are alarmed by John Deere's entry, especially because they've been pushing truck prices higher and higher while struggling with unsold inventory piling up at dealerships. Toyota and Ram are also said to be scrambling to assess whether they can counter with stripped-down budget models of their own. But here's the catch. The infrastructure, cost base, and bloated margins of these auto giants make it nearly impossible to match John Deere's pricing without taking devastating losses. In short, John Deere may have just cornered them into a dangerous game they can't afford to play. And what about buyers? The reaction has been electric. Truck forums, rural community boards, and social media are already lighting up with excitement. Many buyers who felt priced out of the truck market are now saying they'd line up for a John Deere pickup simply because it's affordable and practical. Even younger first-time truck buyers who couldn't stomach the $50,000 plus price tags are suddenly reconsidering their options. In a world where used trucks are sometimes selling for as much as new ones, John Deere's timing could not be more perfect. But the real storm is about to hit dealerships. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and Toyota dealers, already struggling with bloated inventory, could see foot traffic shift overnight once John Deere officially enters the market. If buyers hold off on current purchases in anticipation of Deere's truck, dealerships could be forced into heavy discounts just to clear their lots. This could spark a downward spiral in truck pricing across the board, something the auto industry has been desperately trying to avoid during its fragile recovery. Suddenly, the carefully balanced profit margins of America's top automakers are on the chopping block, and John Deere is holding the knife. And the impact on truck prices overall? If John Deere follows through with this plan, the entire pricing structure of the U.S. truck market will collapse. We could be looking at the first true rollback of truck prices in over a decade. For years, automakers have steadily nudged prices higher, convincing buyers that $60,000 was the new normal. But John Deere just kicked the door wide open to a new era where affordability takes center stage, and that's a threat no automaker is prepared to deal with. Now here's the part that's even more suspenseful. Insiders hint that John Deere isn't doing this alone. Rumors are swirling about possible partnerships with overseas manufacturing firms, giving them a low-cost supply chain advantage that traditional automakers can't touch. If those rumors are true, then what we're witnessing isn't just a new truck. It's the opening shot of an all-out war that could permanently reshape the American auto industry. And if Wall Street is any indication, investors are already paying close attention. Analysts have long warned that the U.S. truck market was a bubble, Overpriced vehicles, buyers stretching loans, and dealers leaning on endless incentives just to move metal. John Deere's entry could be the pin that pops that bubble. Imagine the headlines when investors see Ford and GM forced into price cuts, profits evaporating, and a flood of buyers defecting to a brand they never expected to build trucks. Some analysts are even whispering that John Deere's stock could surge as autumn. But there's another player that could complicate this war: labor unions. The United Auto Workers, already locked in tense battles with Detroit's Big Three over wages and EV transitions, will not take kindly to a new competitor that could undermine their leverage. If John Deere's trucks are built outside union lines or manufactured overseas, it could spark outrage and political pressure. We've seen it before: Congress getting dragged into auto industry battles, tariffs being floated, and heated debates about protecting American jobs. If John Deere bypasses the traditional system, you can bet Washington will be dragged into this fight. Will politicians side with the legacy automakers, or will they champion a cheaper truck for working Americans? That question alone could become a flashpoint in the 2026 election cycle. Meanwhile, on the ground, dealerships are staring down a nightmare scenario. Not only will they face declining sales, but John Deere's unique dealer network, already deeply embedded in rural America, gives them an advantage. Farmers and rural buyers already know and trust their local Deere dealership. Adding pickup trucks to those lots creates a whole new channel of competition that bypasses traditional auto dealers completely. Imagine walking into a John Deere dealer to buy a new tractor and leaving with a pickup truck, all from the same brand. That's convenience the traditional auto retail system simply can't replicate, and it could dismantle the dealership model as we know it. Now let's talk about the ripple effect on prices. If John Deere launches a sub-$25,000 truck, every automaker will be forced to respond, even if they don't want to. Chevy could slash thousands off its Silverado lineup, Ram might be forced into desperate rebates, and Toyota could dust off its plans for a truly budget-friendly Tacoma just to stay in the fight. But here's the catch: lowering prices eats directly into profits, and once prices drop, it's nearly impossible to push them back up again. John Deere's move could permanently reset truck prices in America, ending years of inflationary creep that's pushed pickups into luxury territory. Buyers win big, but automakers lose the financial cushion they've relied on for decades. And here's the suspense that's keeping executives awake at night: what if John Deere succeeds? If the cheapest truck in America ends up dominating rural sales, Deere won't stop at just one model. They could expand into mid-sized trucks, electric work vehicles, or even commercial fleets. What started as a shock announcement could snowball into a full-on takeover of the working-class vehicle segment, leaving traditional automakers scrambling to recover ground they never thought they'd lose. This isn't just a new competitor, it's a total reshuffling of the board, and right now Ford, GM, Toyota, and RAM are staring at their biggest challenge in decades, and here's where the global stage gets even more interesting. Foreign automakers, especially rising giants like BYD in China, are watching John Deere's bold move very closely. BYD has already proven it can dominate the EV market with affordable cars, and rumors suggest they've been eyeing an entry into trucks for North America. If Deere manages to break open the P, Toyota, on the other hand, might take a different stance. The Japanese automaker has already built decades of trust with truck buyers through the Tacoma and Tundra, but both have drifted toward higher price brackets. With Deere threatening to pull the working-class customer base out from under them, Toyota may decide it's safer to collaborate than to compete. Imagine a joint venture where John Deere supplies rugged workhorse trucks and Toyota shares its global supply chain expertise. That kind of partnership could create a nightmare scenario for Ford, GM, and RAM, as two giants from completely different industries combine forces against them. Meanwhile, European automakers like Volkswagen and Stellantis are caught in an awkward middle ground. Stellantis has already slashed prices on Ram to stay competitive in the US, but John Deere's truck threatens to make even those cuts look insignificant. Volkswagen, after years of failing to gain traction in the American pickup space, might finally see Deere's entry as the push they needed to seriously reconsider a budget-friendly Amarok or Atlas-based truck. The dominoes are lining up, and once Deere tips the first one, the global truck market could enter its most chaotic phase in decades. And let's not forget the psychological effect on buyers. For years, the American consumer has been conditioned to believe that a pickup is a $50,000 investment at minimum. But once Deere proves a durable, capable truck can be built and sold for half that price, the illusion shatters. Buyers who would have stretched themselves thin with 6- or 7-year loans for a Silverado or F-150 might suddenly hold off, waiting to see what Deere delivers. That hesitation alone could stall sales across the industry before Deere even sells its first truck. The mere threat of this launch could destabilize the market, creating panic among dealers and executives alike. And here's the kicker. The rural American identity that John Deere taps into could give them an emotional advantage no automaker can replicate. Trucks aren't just vehicles, they're cultural symbols, especially in the heartland. John Deere already owns that cultural space with its tractors, equipment, and iconic green and yellow branding. If they attach that same symbolism to a pickup, it's not just another truck, it's a badge of loyalty, a piece of heritage, a statement of values. No amount of flashy Super Bowl ads from Ford or Chevy can compete with that kind of deep-rooted cultural resonance. But as we peel back the layers, another unsettling question emerges. Is Deere really aiming for mass truck production, or is this a calculated move to destabilize the market for their own gain? If Deere can force prices down and corner a niche market, they may not even need to outsell Ford or GM outright. They just need to disrupt the system enough to shift the balance of power. And if that's the case, we may be on the brink of a truck war that doesn't just decide which company sells the most pickups, but which companies even survive the next decade in their current form. And once Wall Street smells blood in the water, the pressure on traditional automakers could become unbearable. Investors don't like uncertainty, and John Deere just injected a tidal wave of it into the truck market. If Ford or GM stocks start slipping because analysts predict shrinking margins, you can bet activist investors will swoop in, demanding drastic cost-cutting, layoffs, or even plant closures. That kind of turmoil could weaken, but dealerships won't go down quietly either. If Deere bypasses the traditional auto dealer model and sells directly through its agricultural network, or worse, online, it could trigger lawsuits across the country. We've already seen state dealer associations battle Tesla for trying to upend the sales model, and now Deere could find itself in the exact same crosshairs. Dealers who've invested millions into gleaming Ford and Chevy showrooms won't sit back while Deere siphons off their customers. Legal battles, lobbying campaigns, and smear ads could flood the airwaves as dealers fight tooth and nail to protect their turf. In other words, this won't just be a business fight, it will be a legal and political one too. And that's where government intervention becomes almost inevitable. With union jobs on the line, dealerships in revolt, and billions in profits hanging in the balance, Washington may feel compelled to step in. Tariffs on Deere's overseas supply chain partners? Possible. Incentives for Detroit to build a competing budget truck? Very likely. Congressional hearings on foreign influence in America's truck market? Practically guaranteed. Remember, trucks aren't just vehicles, they're symbols of American identity and economic power. No politician will want to be seen as ignoring a crisis that could affect millions of working-class voters in swing states. Deere's move may have started as a business decision, but it could spiral into a national political showdown, unlike anything we've seen in the auto industry in decades. Meanwhile, the ripple effects will keep spreading. Used truck values could collapse as buyers hold off for cheaper new models. Leasing companies could panic as their fleets lose value faster than expected. Suppliers that depend on Ford, GM, and RAM's high-volume truck sales might suddenly find themselves bleeding contracts, forcing layoffs across the supply chain. And all the while, John Deere, calm, steady, and sitting outside the chaos of Detroit's internal politics, could be quietly building an empire in the background. And here's the suspenseful twist that almost no one is talking about yet. Deere might not even want to dominate the truck market outright. Some insiders believe this could be a Trojan horse strategy, a way to lure Detroit into a price war they can't sustain, weaken them financially, and then pick up partnerships, joint ventures, or even acquisitions at rock-bottom prices. Imagine Deere swooping in 5 years from now, buying a struggling brand like Ram, or even partnering with Toyota to create a global truck alliance. Suddenly, this isn't just about selling cheap trucks. It's about rewriting the power structure of the entire auto industry. And this is where the story turns from disruption to outright revolution. Buyers, especially in rural communities, are already buzzing about the possibility of owning a John Deere truck. For generations, Deere has been more than a brand. It's been a way of life, a trusted partner in the fields, on the farm, and in small-town America. If that same trust transfers to pickups, younger buyers too, may be the silent force that pushes Deere's truck into dominance. Millennials and Gen Z buyers, many of whom have been locked out of the new truck market due to skyrocketing prices, suddenly have a brand offering them practicality without drowning them in debt. For these buyers, affordability is freedom, and Deere's entry could create a generational bond with a new wave of truck owners who never felt connected to Ford or GM in the first place. This new demographic loyalty could haunt traditional automakers for decades, just like Toyota's early push into affordable cars created lifelong customers that stuck with the brand for generations, and the international ripple effects could be even bigger. Deere's name may be most iconic in America, but their global reach in agriculture is massive, stretching across Europe, South America, Africa, and Asia. If their trucks follow the same distribution network, Deere could position itself as the go-to brand for affordable, rugged pickups in developing markets. Countries like Brazil, India, and South Africa, where demand for low-cost utility trucks is soaring, could suddenly find themselves flooded with Deere vehicles. That global expansion wouldn't just hurt American automakers, it would also put pressure on Toyota's Hilux, Ford's Ranger, and even Chinese pickups from BYD and Great Wall Motors. In one swoop, Deere could become a global truck player, leapfrogging decades of market building. And here's the real kicker. Deere's trucks might not just be cheap, they might be designed to integrate with the company's existing tech ecosystem. Imagine a Deere pickup that syncs seamlessly with farm equipment, hauling data from tractors, monitoring fields, and connecting to precision agriculture software. Suddenly, the truck isn't just transportation, it's a tool that becomes part of the farmer's entire workflow. That level of utility gives Deere an edge no traditional automaker could ever hope to replicate, because this isn't just about horsepower and towing, it's about productivity, efficiency, and control of an entire agricultural ecosystem. But with all of this potential, a shadow looms. Will Deere's gamble hold up under the brutal realities of the truck market? Building a durable farm tractor is one thing. Building a pickup that can withstand the daily grind of highways, construction sites, and family life is another. If Deere stumbles on quality or safety, the entire plan could unravel before it gains traction. The stakes couldn't be higher because if they succeed, Deere could rewrite the global auto playbook. But if they fail, the backlash could be so severe that it scares them and any other non-automotive brand out of the truck market for good. And that leaves us staring at the million-dollar question, the one haunting every executive boardroom from Detroit to Tokyo. Is John Deere about to ignite a new era of affordable trucks that will empower buyers and crush profits? Or will this gamble explode in their face, leaving the industry even more chaotic than before? The first year after Deere's official launch could be the most chaotic 12 months the truck industry has ever seen. Picture this. The media frenzy hits the second Deere's truck rolls onto the stage at its official unveiling. Headlines dominate not just automotive outlets but mainstream news. Farm brand breaks Detroit, John Deere redefines pickup prices, the people's truck has arrived. Overnight, dealerships for Ford, GM, RAM, and Toyota could see a wave of customers pumping the brakes on their purchases, choosing instead to wait and see how Deere's truck stacks up. That hesitation alone could crater sales projections, forcing automakers to offer emergency discounts just to keep the now-imagined Deere's first quarter numbers. Even if they only manage to produce 50,000 to 75,000 units, the demand could be so overwhelming that every one of those trucks sells out almost instantly. Pre-orders could stretch for months, with waiting lists rivaling what we once saw for Tesla's Cybertruck. But unlike the Cybertruck, an expensive, futuristic gamble, Deere's truck would be grounded in simplicity, reliability, and price,